welcome to my live baking class. I come to you every Tuesday and Thursday. I want to teach all the kids in this country the love and the art of baking. Today we are going to make gooey, soft cinnamon rolls. So I hope you're ready to get started. I did want to let you know that if you like what we're doing, go ahead and press a like or a thumbs up and let us know that you love what we're doing, because then it shares it with lots of other people, and that's what we want to do. We want to get kids in the kitchen, we want parents having fun, great activities to do while we're all shut in and don't have a lot of places to go. So it's just a fun activity, making our home a fun place to learn, and that's what we want to do. So I did want to tell you about our pumpkin patch party box. Is going out right now. It started going out yesterday. All of our members will get it sent out on October 1st, and it is packed with so many fun recipes that you only get if you're a member. You only get the tools if you're a member. Also our online private access page to all my decorating videos, because we always want kids to not only learn how to bake, but also how to decorate also. So I hope you guys check it out. It's at kidsbakingclub.com. Okay, let's get started. Now I had to do some things ahead of time, because when you're working with yeast dough, there's some prep, and we don't have 2 hours to sit around here and watch this dough rise. So I went ahead and made a batch of dough, but I want to show you how I made it, because it's creating a yeast dough, then adding butter and sugar and cinnamon, and then rolling it up and making it look like those cinnamon rolls. That's why they're called rolls. And I'm going to show you the way they do it in the factories. I used to work at a bakery, and I used to love watching them make cinnamon rolls, and that's what I want to share with you today. So the first thing is getting your yeast ready, and I went ahead and I started this 20 minutes ago, because you do need about 10 to 20 minutes to get your yeast prepped. And that is taking 1 cup of warm milk, not hot, because you don't want to burn the yeast. You want a warm milk, which I zapped it in the microwave for 30 seconds, and it was perfect. And then you want 1 envelope of a rapid rise yeast, not the regular yeast. You want it rapid rise because you want to do this quickly. Or if you buy them in the jar, it would be 3 teaspoons. Then you're going to sprinkle in about 2 to 4 teaspoons of sugar on top of that, and then you stir. And what's going to happen is what you see right here. You see this bubbling up? Kind of like a science experiment. And what it does is it rises up, and now it's ready. It's telling me it's ready to work. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take 3 cups of, actually I could do it right in, well, I'll just do it in here. I'm going to take 3 cups of all-purpose flour, and I'm going to add a little bit of salt in here just to cut down on all of the sugar that's in there, and that's just going to be a half of a teaspoon of salt. If you want this recipe to print, go to kidsbakingclub.com, and right up on the blog, just click the blog, and if you don't see it right there, then click on yeast spreads and it will be right there. Okay? I'm just going to stir that a little bit. You're also going to need 1 tablespoon of oil. You can use vegetable oil, canola oil, olive oil, and an egg. I like adding an egg to cinnamon rolls because it just makes them so more delicious. So I've got that in here, and I'm going to make like a little well, because you can see I'm doing like a little crater here. And I'm going to add this yeast now. So remember, this is 1 cup of warm milk, 1 package or 3 teaspoons of rapid rise yeast, and some sugar, 2 to 4 teaspoons of sugar to get there. What the sugar does is it kind of makes the yeast wake up, and you'll see it actually activate when you put it. It's really fun to watch. So when your kids are helping you with that, have them watch, and they can see like the bubbles and the yeast kind of starting to form, and they can kind of see it rise. And then when they make the bread, they're going to see the bread rise too. It's really cool. Okay, so we're going to pour that in. And before I stir that, I do want to get all these nooks and crannies, because this is all the yeast that was sitting on the side. My grandma taught me this recipe. It's actually a recipe for pizza crust too, except not as much sugar. And then you're going to add your 1 tablespoon of oil in there. This is just going to give it some elasticity I never can say that word. I'm not even gonna try. Elasticity, I'm not even gonna try. And then 1 egg. Easy to work with. Oh, got a shell in there. Okay. So now we're gonna stir this all together, and it's going to make kind of a sticky dough, which is okay. We want it a little bit sticky, and then you're gonna add a little bit of flour when you actually work it into making your cinnamon rolls. Okay, so you can see the dough. It looks really good. So just keep working it, make sure you get everything on the sides. And now we're gonna let it sit, covered with a towel for about an hour, 2 hours if possible. The higher the rise, the better the gooey, soft cinnamon rolls you get. So you can see, actually this is funny now that I'm looking at it. You can see, do you see that little bump right there? That means the bread has risen. Oh my goodness. Oh, do you see that? That is the risen dough. Isn't that amazing? So it went from this to that. And I'm gonna punch it. Okay, I'm gonna set this aside. Put that aside. And now is the magic. Okay, this is a little messy, but hey, it's kind of like playing with Play-Doh, but it's also just fun. Kids need to get their hands dirty. They need to get them messy. They need to work with their hands. It's called kinesthetic. It's so good. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take a little bit of flour. I'm just gonna flour a board. If you don't have a board, just do it on your counter. And make sure your kids' hands are clean. Wash your hands. And now we're going to take this dough. Oh my goodness. I love working with dough. I think that's how I became a preschool director, because I just love working with dough and all kinds of stuff. So you're just gonna kind of spread the dough out, kind of make it into a long thing like this, and you're gonna spread it out. Get your hands floured too, and you're just gonna kind of work with it. If it was pizza, you make it into a circle, but with cinnamon dough, you want like a big, long rectangle. Just keep stretching it out. This is pretty good. Now you're gonna take 1 stick of butter and plop it on there. And you're going to spread that all over your rectangle. Yeah. This has a lot of calories, but you know what? Once in a while, we like to treat ourselves. You know, they say there's the 80-20, you know, 80% of your intake should be really healthy food, like, you know, super vegetables, fruits, good fiber, good grains, good protein. But then 20% or 10%, you can indulge in a cookie, a cinnamon roll. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna make the cinnamon sugar. So I've got about a half a cup of sugar here, and then a tablespoon of cinnamon. I'm gonna pour that in. I'm gonna mix this up really, really well. And then you can probably guess what I'm gonna do next. But while I'm stirring this, I wanna tell you about the glaze. Now, some people like to put that glaze on top. And what you need is a cup of powdered sugar, about 1 to 2 tablespoons of milk, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla, pure vanilla extract. Mix that all together, and you'll get like a really nice drizzly glaze. Now what we're gonna do is take that cinnamon sugar and sprinkle that all on. Now I have to say, if you work in a bakery, they get their hands in there. They've got this long, I mean, the whole butcher board is just filled with dough, and they're massaging this in. And because I don't want to get my hands wet right now, I'm just gonna do it with a spoon. But what they do is they just get their hands in there and mix it all together. It's like really cool. when I was a cake decorator for a well-known bakery, I would get there like at 6 o'clock in the morning because we would have wedding cakes all day long, and we were, you know, getting there really early. Well, the bakers were there even before us. They would get there super early to make sure all this stuff was ready to go. Now is the part that's fun. You get to roll this. So you're going to take your cinnamon dough and just start at one end, then roll again. Roll, roll, roll. Roll, roll, roll. Okay, I promise I won't sing. Some of you might not even know that song. So you see how I'm rolling that? Rolling, I'm going to pinch that up. I've got it all rolled. If you get a wider rectangle, you'll get a wider roll. But this is good. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to do a little tiny bit of cleanup here so I can bring my pan in. You need either a baking sheet or a baking pan, and I'm using a baking pan today. I'm going to brought these because I knew I'd get it all over my hands. All right, I'm going to get my pan. And you can see that I put some shortening there. You can use butter, you can non-stick spray, and you want to make sure that it is because you want to be able to pop it out. This is where you are going to need a knife, so parents, please help your kids with this. You can actually use a dull knife. You can actually use a pizza cutter. I've seen that done. So you're just going to make little cuts like this. Okay? It depends if you want thick ones, thin ones. You're just going to cut it. Oh, I can already smell the cinnamon sugar. It smells so good. Oh. Okay, now we're going to, you can see the rolls like that. We're going to stick them in the pan, propped up. Now, I like my cinnamon rolls right next to each other because then they're going to bake and then the sides are going to be gooey, and I love that. So I like to connect it. So I'm just going to put these here. Let's see how many of these made. I made pretty thick ones. So I have 10, no, 9, no, I have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's perfect. And then I'm going to take the little bit of cinnamon sugar that I had left over and just put it up on top. So this is going to go in the oven for 350 degrees. You got to watch it, but it takes about 15 minutes for you to start to see it browning on top. Don't worry about the sides because if you see the browning on top, then the middle part probably is baked as well. Not brown, but nice and baked and gooey. But thank you for joining me today. Don't forget to like this. Please share this because this also gives all these families around the country an opportunity to know that we are doing fun things for kids right now. We want kids to get in the kitchen. We want them having fun learning. It is time. And the best part is they're learning life skills that are so, so important. So parents and grandparents who have been getting their kids to watch us, been part of Kids Baking Club, I want to thank you because it has meant the world to us. So thank you, and we will see you next time. This is going in the oven. All right, see you later. Bye-bye.